What's up? This is Detour ENT. I'm so here at Focus TV Studios, and I have with me today Darklord, and I'm going to say this out loud for the first time, so correct me if I'm wrong.
I got you.
But is it Escada?
Yes.
All right.
Got it.
Look, I've been saying it in my head for so long, and finally when I had to say it out loud, I'm like, shit, I hope I get that right. So, your name is unique. That's your real name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My father gave me that name.
Okay, does it mean anything?
It's Portuguese for ladder.
For ladder, okay.
I mean, I don't mind giving out my middle name because it all flows together. So my first name is Escada, and my middle name is Ajala, which means close to Allah in, Muslim.
Okay.
And but my mom gave me that name, and she was Catholic.
Oh, okay. So are you, what's your nationality?
As far as I know, just black.
Just black. Okay, all right. So they was just kind of like, trying to pick some unique names and something that means something.
Do a little forceful culture on me, you know what I'm saying? Just gotta, you gotta live with this.
Right. So you adopted the Darklord to your name not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose that persona?
Well, it's a weird, funny story. So, I was Netflix binging, and I was watching the Sabrina show. And they kept mentioning the Darklord. And at the time, my name was just Lord Escada, because I was going for a real, Dungeons and Dragons type of vibe. And then I was like, whoa, Darklord, now that sounds lit. So I went and just, threw the dark on there. Then it took off as his own persona, honestly.
Okay. So I know that the name, it does kind of go with a little bit of, your artistry and how you create. Because a lot of the stuff that you do put out there, I feel means something. Cause you touch on a lot of different topics.
Of course.
So, but before we get to that, I do want to say I'm glad you were able to come and sit with us today. I do appreciate it. But for those that maybe don't know, explain what it is that you do.
Okay, so I'm an artist in general. So I started with music, and then I went into the visuals. I used to work with the visuals, but I wasn't taking it on as my job or anything like that. So I'm a cartoonist, animator, designer, caricature artist, muralist. I also cut designs into my friend's hair. Let me see. I design on clothes or whatnot. I do anything I can get my hands on. I craft, I build modes. Anything that I can do, I do.
Okay, and then how long have you been doing artistry?
On a professional level, since 2013. 2013. Before that, I used to just be a kid who just made weird cartoon comics in his bedroom and at school.
Were you inspired by the Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, or?
I don't know where my inspiration came from. A vast amount of things. So I used to watch a lot of Hanna-Barbera growing up. I love the style and the old cheap value of cartoons. They were so cheap, but they were addictive cartoons, and I was those hold some type of value. I mean, since I was little, I was just creating my own characters, using their structures to create characters. I love the whole, teens with a freaking animal character, what I'm saying? The whole trio riding stuffed in a vehicle or something. That always was cool to me. So I used to develop off that. But when my style really kicked in is when Courage the Cowardly Dog came out.
Oh, yeah, I love that show.
That show
Stupid
really,
dog.
it really set me off. I was like, this is insane, and I need to do whatever they're doing here. So I started making all these zany characters that lived in worlds. It was a lot. I was just going and just, my great-grandmama, shout out to her, rest in peace. She used to love my comics, even how crude they were. She used to just love them. She'd be like, I don't know where you get these ideas from, but I love them. I was like, that's all that matters to me.
Right. So how has your art changed over time?
I used to only draw with pen. When I first started drawing, I never liked to pick up a pencil. I refused to draw with pencils and stuff like that. So I used to draw strictly with pens, so it made me, I couldn't mess up at all. And if I mess up, I had to incorporate the messing up into my art. And then I came into my college years. I actually did not put down a pen until 12th grade. 12th grade, I kept with the pen. So when I picked up the pencil, because you're in college, you have to use the pencils, whatnot they give you for certain assignments, and so I started getting into pencil, and I'm like, man, I'm clean as fuck with this pencil, because it's like the pen done made me just so clean. I can put down work with no problem. Like, I can bust out a whole comic in a day. Honestly, I can do that in a day.
So how do you come up with like your topics and stuff like that? Because like I said before, I mean, you touch on like real life stuff in your comics. Because I think that was kind of how I, found out who you were. I seen like some of the comics that you did on like the LGBT community and then on like race and stuff like that. So how do you come up with your topics?
Well, I look at the social of like what's going on normally around me, what's going on over the internet and stuff like that. I put my own twist on the topics, I try to make them fun. I try to poke fun at everything possible, It's like I don't put any hold on anything I talk on, so it gives me a vast amount of things to create. And plus, I'm like, all right, I gotta make this situation funny. I know it's like I gotta think about it's a sacrifice of offending somebody, but I'm like, I gotta take that chance because it ain't gonna be funny in my way if I don't do that. I like really dry, real punchliney humor, It's just like when it hits you, just like, damn. You just kind of like ghost face, but you're like impressed ghost face. I seen it on so many people's face when they reading it go. And I was like, I didn't see that coming, and that was dope. I was like, that's just trying to give you a feel. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing my job as an artist. I'm making you feel. I'm making you laugh. I'm making you sad. I'm trying to do everything. I love to do children books too.
Okay, have you done children books before?
Not like sold them, but I used to like, because I was just testing the waters for a while. I had this little series called Boy and Boat. It was about a little boy that like left home. He was like supposed to be like an African Indian. I didn't really like specify what he was, but he had features of both, like with his wear and how he looked and stuff like that. And so he left home, and then he came across a polar bear. The polar bear home was destroyed because like the polar ice caps, all that stuff melting and whatnot. So he didn't have a home either. So they go on this vast little journey. He ends up on this sand island that has a castle. It was nice. Mothers was like DMing me, telling me that they was like reading it to their children and stuff like that. So it really kept me going, really just fan drive. It was like, I'm really enjoying this. I did some few other ones, but one I can note the most was Homeless. I did one called Homeless. It was about this homeless man who was just out, doing his normal everyday to day. And then a dog wandered in the street or whatever not. And, the cars are like trying to get out the way. He's telling the cars, wait, stop. Scoop the dog up. And then, it just shows you how, some homeless people will be lonely out here. Like, it's not easy just being out there by yourself. Because I do have, like, a real soft spot for the homeless community here. Like, I grew up, like, being downtown. Certain, like, homeless people are, like, celebrities to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know this guy.
Right.
I know that guy. Oh, snap, he back here. These guys are cool. They don't really bother you.
Right.
You ever seen the guy downtown who has the dog with the sunglasses?
Nope, I don't think I've seen him.
But it's a guy down there. He used to always be down there just skateboarding. Him and his dog just sit there and chill. The dog lay there and just watch him skateboard up and down the street. It's like dope. It's really dope.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was finna say too that because like homeless people, they have their certain areas where they always be. So when you riding up, on 75 or something like that, you're gonna see that same person like right there. And when you don't see him, like, well, where the hell he at? So.
And I love a character. I really love a character. Like when I can put a character to someone, that really makes me happy.
Because I don't know. Have you ever heard of? I mean, I don't know if you're from downriver, but there was this guy's name was Birdman. You ever heard of him?
Wait, where at?
In Inkster.
Yeah.
Inkster.
Yeah.
What did he used to do?
He just would go around. He
made noises.
Yeah, made noises and stuff like
sound
that, and like
familiar as fuck.
everybody knew who he was, and I was like so surprised how like, cause I lived in Taylor and we knew who he was. Then of course people in Inkster, then even people in Detroit knew, and I'm like, he is like just well known.
It's
So
just being the Birdman.
right. But yeah, I think that kind of like plays into that homeless type of thing.
Because they do have, in a weird way, they have their own culture. They do things a certain way. They live by a certain rule and code.
So, does your art represent something about you? Because you know, like I said, you do a lot of different topics. Do you put yourself in there as well?
Always. Only way I can like really touch on the topic if I've delved into the topic, get to know the topic. You know, it's like I'm kind of interviewing society, people. You know, just really learning what's their drives, what really gets their gears moving. You know, just gotta know.
So, what do you like most about being an artist?
I don't know. No one ever asked me that question.
No.
No. I guess the freedom to do what I want to do. You know, that's really the best part about it, because it's like any day where I just feel like I'm restrained by life, I always know I have that to fall back on. That is my own control. You know, I make what happens happen.
So I know that you do art, and then you also do music, which it was a surprise to me, because I don't think I ever really dived into and heard any of your music. I know earlier in this interview you said that you actually did music before you did art. Was there a reason? Like, do the two kind of like go hand in hand for you?
They do. They really do. Because I was heavy with my visuals when it came to my music. You know, when I created a cover for a tape, sometimes I create the cover before I make the music, so I have something to work towards, you know. So it's like my first tape, which was my tape that had me going, like, I used to perform a lot. I came up with a lot of artists that's popping out, but I'm like, I was the weird guy, you know. I did the alternative music, but I was getting shows and shit like that. I was really digging it. My music was going around the internet pretty fast, but I set a goal for myself, which probably was not the best goal, but it was still a goal nonetheless that I really wanted. I said, I want Kid Cudi to hear my music. That's all. That's all I wanted. I was working on the project at the time. It was called Hippie Guy, and I had it released on my SoundCloud. So as soon as I record a track, I just throw it out. I didn't care. I just throw it out. I'm like, it's a good track. It might not be mixed well, but I know the essence is good. I'm throwing it out. My friends was like, why you keep just throwing it out, man? I'm like, because I know it's good and I know it's raw. You know, I know it's real. So they just like, all right, man. You know, they used to fight me so hard on my music, but it was just working. And they just could. They were older than me. Like, I started making music in 2013. So these guys are older. I met them after college and during college and shit like that. And shout out to them. We went by Heavy Mellow. At the time, I went by Spaceman the Rapper. But by the time the project was done, I was going by my real name, which is Escada Gordon. And the project ended up becoming Melted Ice, which meaning like it was a flex tape, but it wasn't a flex tape. You know, it was kind of like I call it Melted Ice because I didn't rock jewelry. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have no ice. Everything I have is water. It's just free. It's just flowing. You know, I got some clothes, but them could come off of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no ice. So, you know, like, how can I flex? So I just got on the tape. I did some real meaningful tracks. I did some real, like, you know, I don't give a fuck. The track that people loved the most was my track, Super Icy. And I got the idea from, what was it? Icy's, just Icy's, like at the movie theaters, you know. I'm like, man, I'm super that, you know. I'm super icy. And then, you know, track came out. But back to why I stopped. Kid Cudi heard my music. And when Kid Cudi heard my music and shouted my tape out, it's like, all right, I'm about to finish this tape, but I'm just about to stop doing music after this, because it's like, I feel like I reached my goal in that, and I do so much other stuff. It was like, now I gotta go back over to drawing and stuff, you know. But I've been trying to work back into doing my music or whatever not.
Okay,
so now
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think it's cool that, you know, you was able to accomplish that goal of, you know, what you wanted. So what's your new goal as far as like with your music now?
I don't know. Just really release this EP I've been working on. It's called Eyes with a Z. It's just a really, like, I'm really into like show tune music, you know, real dancey, campy type of music. I grew up on it. I love classic animation films with like music and stuff like that. Cause Broadway music always been dope as fuck to me. So it's like I wanted to create that with kind of like a indie R&B hip hop feel. You know, I wanted to blend those two together. So the tape is finished. I just had to get mixed and mastered. I've been doing the mixing and mastering of it. It's clean. It's clean as fuck. It's smooth, you know. I got some vocals I got to touch up on, but other than that, it's a fly-ass tape.
Hmm. And then I know that you're also in a collective group as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, my collective group is not a collective. It's more of like, you know, who I'm associated with heavily, you know, who I work with heavily, you know, we do things together, we have joint projects, we put bread in each other's pockets and whatnot like that. So, you know, right now we have a band that's going on called Cool Deaf, and that's consists of myself, High School Prom, Coast Wild, and DJ Deadphone. DJ Deadphone and I both make experimental mixes and whatnot and like tapes. And Coast is a vocalist, so you know we're like, we could form into a band. We can just do it a new way. You know, fuck the instruments or whatever. Now we going straight digital with it. You know, we just about to come do what we do, let him do what he does. You know, and mold it together cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay. So besides the EP that you have coming out, do you have any other upcoming projects?
Yes, I have another album tape under my name, High School Prom, which is Picture Me Burning, which is like an orchestration of like sound and like intense emotions. It's supposed to give you the visual while I'm saying picture me burning. The cover of it is me on fire and like it's just burning, but I'm not like screaming or in agony. It's kind of like I'm just sitting there just taking the flame, and that's what the tape feel like. It's not really like a dark tape or anything like that. It's real beautiful. It transitioned from this like high energy and it just mellows out like a flame just burning down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I did see on your I think on your music page some of the visuals that you have for like your music, like they're pretty unique. Like I think I seen one where it was like a doll, like a man doll, and he was like doing coke, and you know he hung it. So it was a boy playing with it, but he hung it and everything like that. So how do you kind of like find those videos like that to put with your music?
I'm a real internet diver, so I dig deep. Like for like I'm into this thing called like I got into it in high school. It's a website called Everything Is Terrible. They find old VHS tapes of certain like they normally get like weird like Christian children's tapes and like cut them up and trim them up to make them like cringy and stuff. They do it with like movies and whatever not. So I used to watch those videos a lot, and I applied that to my visuals with my music. I'm like, I could chop these visuals up to make them mean more than what, you know, it's pretty much like sampling with imagery. You know, I can make somebody punch somebody by using two different clips.
Okay.